Hello, 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 hello. Okay, there we go. What is up, Losh? How you doing? I'm glad you're here. What's up, Hope? I am glad you're here. You are second. What's up, Wing Chun? Hello. Kaibyo Hime. We can start. I have arrived. True. Now we can start. Sunny side up. How are you doing? What is up, Bigfoot? You log the concussions of the main character. Gotcha. What's up, Sal? You did make it. How's it going? What's up, Nikki? I'm glad you're here. Congrats on 300 subs. Oh, did we get 300? Yay! Cool. What's up, Malik? How's it going? And what is up, Lady Koi? Hiya. All right. Guess we're all here. Let's do some Wordle. Bicycle, bicycle. Oh, hey, it worked this time. Whoa. Not bad. All right, let's do this. It's gonna be fast. I can feel it. I can feel it. Oh, hello. 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 Merit. Marin. Is that a word? Marin? Merrill. Merrick. Merrig. America. Merid. Yeah, just do it. Merch. I don't think so. The merge could work. Merge. Nope. Merle. Oh no. Oh no. Murph. Mary. Oh. Should I do it? Ah, thank God. Okay. Damn. Good job, me. Linfamy is a very clever AI. Thank you. Mercy? Mercy is a good guess. All right. That was easy. This is the hard part. Are you guys ready? All right. Can we do it quickly? Can we do it in 2 minutes? Merit. Oh my God. Maybe we can. Skill. Meritocracy. Talent. Competition. Award. Prize. Nope. Test. Results. Trophy. Merit. Olympics. Grade. Badges. Class. Win. Win? Okay, lose. Lose is up there. Loss. Compete. Credible. Value? Graduate. Idea. We got lose. Lose. Merit. Credible. Win. Competition. Try that. Achievement. Student? No. Candidate. Great. I think we try that. Fail. Failure. Fall. Succeed. Success. Worthy. Fail. Fail. Defeat. Ooh. Lose. Disgrace. Nope. Fail. Inept. Okay, okay. Okay, we're gonna close to the merit. Fail. Demerit. I like that. Nope. Worst. Losing. Winning. Discredit. It's up there. It's up there. Fail. Merit. Essay. Fail. If you don't have enough merit, you fail. What do you fail? You fail the interview. You fail. Fail a test. We try that though. Fail to pay. Like paycheck. I think we tried test already. Yep. You fail a competition. You fail. You fail life. Fail. Okay. What do you succeed at? Succeed at demote. Oh, that's up there. That's up there. Demotion. Death. Destruction. Bankrupt. Okay, okay. Damnation. Wow, guys. Hell. Jail. Oh. Job. Career. No, not even close. So not a career. Fail. Math. Fire. Layoff. Doesn't seem to be job related. Fail, succeed at parenting. Succeed at remove. Take. Delete. Destroy. Oh, we had destruction. We did destruction, right? Why didn't that work? Break. Broken. Deport. Tear. Insert. Delete. Remove. What do you remove? Remove. Take away. Take away. No. Away. Obliterate. I like that. Obliterate. Explode. Dominate. Oh, terminate. Termination. So fire wasn't the word? Fire. Evict. Crash. Contract. Kill. No. That went too far. Terminate. You remove someone. You terminate. Robot. Terminator. Arnold. Nope. Finish. No. Terminate. Remove. Delete. Destroy. Crush. Squeeze. Crumple. None of these are working. Terminate. Expel. Oh, wait, expel. Detention. Detain. Out. Push. Unsubscribe. Exile. I like that. Suspend. Suspension. Terminate. Pause. Exile. Defenestrate. Terminate. Suspend. Expel. Pause. Cancel. Cancelled. Cease. Oh, reject. Reject. Ah, good job. Malik. Good job. Okay, reject makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, as a prize, because you guys didn't fail, we got some chips. These are Naruto. Wait, hold up. Scrambled eggs, potato chips. It says Chochi approved. Well, if Chochi approves. then it must be good. Look, your little Naruto characters. Scrambled eggs. Let's see. Can I do it this way? I can't. Smells like bread. Not scrambled eggs. A little bit. It's a little more like bread though. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's scrambled eggs. No. Scrambled eggs also a little, not too salty, a little bit sweet, just a tiny bit. Ooh. Oh. Oh yeah, there's a strong scrambled egg aftertaste. This is like a, I'm not sure I can eat a lot of these. Kind of strong. I'm gonna say a 7. Let's go with that. Does it have a hint of eggshell flavor? No, I didn't taste any eggshell. Yeah, we need like a sausage and bacon along with it. I like that. It should have a scrambled eggs, sausage, and bacon flavor. I'd eat that. All right. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? All right, last week was the beginning of this story. All right. So last week we were introduced to Di-yoon, the main character. He's a country boy, right? He's training martial arts with his martial sister Chi Feng, and his master is named Chi Chang Fa, right? And he's Chi Feng's father. So one day they're training, and this dude comes to the farm. They're in the countryside. This guy comes to the farm, and he says that he's the disciple of the master's martial brother, which makes him the martial uncle of Di-yoon. Okay, so martial uncle's 50th birthday is coming up, this guy says, and he's inviting master to come celebrate. And the disciple also mentions that the martial uncle has completed this thing called the Lian Cheng swordplay. All right, now the master is kind of is shocked a little bit, and he's super skeptical that martial uncle could complete this Lian Cheng swordplay, because apparently he thinks the martial uncle is not good enough. So the master decides we should go to celebrate, and also to see martial uncle's Lian Cheng swordplay. So they decide to do that. Master decides to sell their ox to pay for fancier clothing for them, because the clothing that they're wearing right now is all like country clothes, like dirty, and it's all raggedy and everything. So the master decides to sell their ox, which makes Chi Feng, the martial sister, she makes her go all distraught because she loves this ox, and she's like, oh, why? They're gonna kill him. Which is like a sad scene. And then, so they do that, and they arrive at martial uncle's party. The martial uncle's name is Wan Jun Shan. And immediately, this bearded guy comes challenging the martial uncle to a fight. And he's saying that the martial uncle caused the death of his men. And this bearded guy, oh, he's also carrying this bucket of toilet water, okay? And he tries to splash it on Wan Zhengshan, the martial uncle. But then the toilet water is it's being splashed, and it's the master sees that the water is going to splash onto Ji Feng, his daughter. So the master comes in and he blocks it, but then he gets splashed with all that toilet water, right? And so all that stuff spills on the master instead. And Di Yun sees that, our main character, and he confronts the bearded man, tells him hey, you gotta pay for my master's clothes. Because remember, he's from the countryside, and new clothes are a big deal to him. And also his martial sister cried a lot because they sold the ox to pay for those clothes. So Di Yun is super mad, and he challenges this guy, and this guy's like, what's this kid doing? And Di Yun fights with him, okay? So he fights, but then he starts losing, but secretly he's saved by this beggar who just happens to walk into the party, and the beggar throws this begging bowl at the bearded man, okay? But we don't know, well, Di Yun doesn't know that he's throwing it. It seemed like he was just accidentally doing it, but he throws a begging bowl at the bearded man, and he kind of defeats the guy. And Di Yun realizes that he only won the fight because of this beggar's actions. So he gives the beggar some money. So now while all this is happening, the disciples of the martial uncle, they get jealous because they see that only Di Yun was brave enough to confront this bearded man who was challenging their master. And they were just standing there, not doing anything. So they decide to teach him a lesson. And at night, they beat up Di Yun, okay? They wake him up, they get him to come out, and they beat him up. And then they go away. So Di Yun afterwards, he's all bruised and broken, and he encounters the beggar again, who saw the entire thing. Now the beggar, I guess he decides that Di Yun seems like a good dude, so the beggar teaches him some moves to beat the bullies. So the entire night, Di Yun was just practicing these moves. So the next morning, Di Yun challenges the bullies, all of them, and now they get into a fight. He injures a bunch of them, okay? And they realize that he's pretty good now, so they decide to gang up on him. And everyone is seeing this happen, but no one's doing anything except for the martial sister. She decides to jump in and defend Di Yun. And that's where we stop. How's that? You think the bigger is secretly the second brother? We'll see. All right. We got Chapter 2, Prison. All right, we have a little picture here. This is Di Yun, it seems like. And I guess, this looks like the bearded man, no? Seems like it. All right, so not a good start to the chapter. Things don't seem to be going well for our main character. Prison. What is the story rated? The sounds of weapons clashing were heard continuously. Oh, yeah. So we're going to go, instead of going a full chapter per episode, we're going to go half a chapter. Half a chapter, okay? Ting, ting, ting. With a series of white flashes, swords were sent flying in all directions. One sword flew right amongst the crowd of servants. The numerous maids were in shock. Some fell on the seat opposite the host, while others held onto the handle against the crossbeam. In an instant, the swords of Bu Yuan, Wu Kang, Feng Tang, and Shen Cheng were all taken away by Di Yun's releasing sword stance. Wang Jinshan laughed, this is the martial uncle, and applauded. Good, good. Brother Qi, looks like you have completed the Liancheng swordplay. Congratulations! There was a subtle hint of bitterness in his voice. Qi Jiangfa was stunned. What Liancheng swordplay? He asked. Oh, was he taught? Oh, the beggar taught him the Liancheng swordplay, it seems. Yeah, so it does seem like he's the second brother. If Nephew Di's technique was not Liancheng's swordplay, then what was it? Kuner, Chier, Guer, come back. Your brother Di has learned Uncle Qi's Liancheng's swordplay. How can you be any match for him? He turned to Qi Jiangfa and sneered. Martial brother, you're sure good at feigning ignorance. Iron luck across the river is truly remarkable. Di Yun had executed the piercing shoulder stance, slap in the face stance, and the releasing sword stance in succession, and managed to defeat all 8 of his opponents. He was pleasantly surprised to find that he could win so easily, and was actually perplexed. He looked at his master, his martial sister, and martial uncle, unsure of what to say. Also, the master has been teaching them fake martial arts. Oh yeah, you remember. The master is like teaching them all the wrong moves with the wrong names. Qi Jiangfa approached Di Yun, then suddenly grabbed the longsword from his hand and pointed it at his neck. Those sword stances. Who taught it to you? He interrogated. Di Yun was taken aback. Usually he would not dare to hide anything from his master, but the old beggar stated very clearly that if Di Yun were to reveal anything about their encounter, the beggar's life would be put in jeopardy. Furthermore, Di Yun had made an oath not to reveal anything about it, so he could only say, Master, disciple figured it out on his own. Oh, that's a terrible lie. Qi Jiangfa shouted, You came up with such a brilliant stances on your own? You dare speak such nonsense to me. If you don't reveal the truth, I will kill you right now. He moved his wrist forward, and the blade of the sword cut Di Yun's throat slightly. Qi Feng rushed forward and held tightly to her father's arms. Father, martial brother was with us the whole time. How could anyone teach him martial arts? Weren't those sword stances taught by you? Wang Jinshan sneered. Brother Qi, why do you insist on playing innocent? Your daughter has already spoken of the matter quite clearly. You need not demonstrate the acting abilities of Iron Luck across the river in front of your martial brother. Come now, brother will toast you 3 cups of wine. As he said that, he filled up 2 cups of wine, downed one, and said, Big brother will drink first, as respect. You should show me some face. This really is the worst birthday, the worst. Qi Jiangfa snorted, dropped his sword on the ground, and fetched the wine cup. He downed 3 cups in a row, and felt slightly dizzy. He was still a bit confused, and remarked, Strange. Wang Jinshan said, Brother Qi, there is something I want to discuss with you privately. Please come to the study room with me. Qi Zhangfa nodded in agreement. Wan Qunshan put his hands on his shoulder, and together they went to the study room. Wan Qunshan's 8 disciples looked at each other, speechless. Some faces turned blue, while some whispered curses. Shen Cheng said, I'm going to the washroom. The stances that brat Di Yun pulled really scared me. Lu Kun's face sunk in disgust and shouted, 8th brother, have you not embarrassed yourself enough? Shen Cheng stuck his tongue out and left in a hurry. He went out from the dining room door and headed out to the washroom, but on the way he stopped by the living room to eavesdrop. He heard the sound of his master's voice. Brother Qi, for 20 years the mystery remained unsolved, but today there is finally a solution. He heard Qi Zhangfa reply, Little brother does not understand what you mean by this. Why do you make me say any more? Do you remember how our teacher died? Teacher lost one of his martial arts manuals and could not recover it. He died under Great Depression. You already know this. Why ask? Correct. And what is the name of this martial arts manual? How would I know? Why ask me? I heard teachers say it was called the Liancheng Manual. What, completed or not completed? I don't understand one bit. The word completed is pronounced Liancheng, the same as the Liancheng Manual. It is also called a deadly secret. Got it. So it was called the completed manual? He who knows is not as he who desires. He who desires is not as what? Not as he who knows not. What is so funny? You are actually well versed in literature, yet you pretend to be ignorant. We martial brothers have been training together for over a dozen years. Who doesn't know whose background? If you don't know the words Liancheng Manual, how could you recite the Analects of Confucius or Mencius? Confucius and Mencius are two of the most renowned Chinese philosophers in history. Okay. You are testing me, aren't you? Hand it over. Hand what over? You already know. Why feign ignorance? I, Qi Zhangfa, have never been afraid of you. Shen Cheng heard his teacher and martial uncle bicker louder and louder, and he became afraid. He quickly ran back into the living room, went to Lu Kun and whispered, Elder brother, Master and Uncle Qi are bickering loudly. I fear a battle may ensue. Lu Kun stood straight up and said, Then let's go. Zhou Qi, Wan Gui, Sun Jun, and the others hurriedly followed. Qi Feng pulled on Di Yun's sleeves and said, Let's go too. Di Yun nodded and ran 2 steps when Qi Feng grabbed a longsword. Di Yun turned around and saw Qi Feng holding 2 longswords and asked, 2 swords? Father did not carry a weapon, she answered. Falling in love with his little martial sister and learning exquisite martial arts from a mysterious man. You see some similarities to Smiling Proud Wanderer? Yeah, true. The 8 disciples of the Wan clan had faces full of worry as they stood outside the study room. Di Yun and Qi Feng stood farther behind them. The 10 of them tried to regulate their breathing while quietly eavesdropping the bickering inside the room. So there are like 10 people eavesdropping on them. Brother Qi, our master's death, it was because of you. It was the voice of Wan Junshan. Nonsense! Complete nonsense! Brother Wan, you accuse me so clearly. Then tell me, how did I cause our master's death? Under extreme anger, Qi Zhangfa was very loud, and his voice was hoarse. Master's martial arts manual is called A Deadly Secret. Were you not the one who stole it? How would I know of any deadly person or deadly ghost? Brother One, if you want to frame me with the surname Qi, it won't be so easy. The sword stances that your disciple executed, are they not from the Liancheng's swordplay? How could his techniques be so clever and fluent? My disciple has always been intelligent. He must have come up with it himself. Even I don't know it. How could it be any Liancheng's swordplay? You told your disciple Bu Yuan to invite me over, saying that you have completed this Liancheng's swordplay, did you not? We can ask Bu Yuan to confirm this. Everyone outside the room looked at Bu Yuan, whose face turned deathly pale. Clearly, Qi Jiangfa was speaking the truth. Di Yun and Qi Feng exchanged glances and nodded, thinking, I heard Bu Yuan say this as well. There is no denying it. Wang Zhenshan laughed loudly and replied, Ha 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 ha! Of course I said this. Otherwise, how could I get you to come over? Qi Jiangfa, I ask you now. You claim you have never heard of the Liancheng swordplay. If so, why did your expression change so drastically when Bu Yuan said I had completed this swordplay? How can you still deny it? Aha! You, with the surnamed Wan, swindled me to come to Jingzhou. Correct. Hand over the sword manual, then kowtow to our master's grave to admit your misdeeds. Why should I hand it over to you? I am your elder martial brother. The room fell quiet for a while. Then Qi Jiangfa's voice was heard. All right, I'll give it to you. Everyone outside the room became startled when they heard these words. Di Yun and Qi Feng only wished there was a hole they could crawl into to bury their shame. Lu Kun and the other Wan disciples looked at Di Yun and Qi Feng with great resentment. Qi Feng was angry too, and also felt a sense of extreme humiliation. She would have never believed that her father did such a disgraceful deed. He had to be tricked to come to his martial brother's birthday, yeah? Suddenly, a loud and endearing scream was heard from the inside. It was Wang Zhenshan. Oh shit. Wan Gui shouted, Father! And quickly kicked open the door and burst into the room. He saw that Wang Zhenshan lying on the floor, his chest stabbed by a very sharp and dazzling dagger. His entire body was covered in blood. The window was wide open, and Qi Jiangfa was nowhere to be seen. Okay, obviously Qi Jiangfa did not kill him, right? It's gotta be the beggar, maybe? The beggar came in, killed the guy, and then kidnapped Qi Jiangfa, maybe? Wan Gui cried mournfully. Father! Father! He held Wang Zhenshan tightly. Qi Feng also cried, Father! Father! She was trembling in fear and held Di Yun's hand tightly. Lu Kun shouted, Quick! Chase after the assailant! Then with Zhou Qi, Sun Jun, and the others, he quickly rushed out the window and shouted, Capture the assailant! Capture the assailant! Di Yun watched as the 8 disciples of the Wan clan chased after his master. At this moment, he was truly scared out of his mind, unsure of what to do. Qi Feng shouted again, Father! Her body was still trembling and she could not keep her balance. Di Yun quickly held onto Qi Feng so she wouldn't fall. He lowered his head and saw both of Wang Zhenshan's eyes were shut tight. His expression was ferocious and disgusting, and must have suffered a great amount of pain before his death. Does this mean he gets bells? I'm gonna give him some bells. Di Yun could look no more and said softly, Martial sister, Shall we go? Chi Feng had not replied yet, when a voice was heard behind them, saying, You two are accomplices of the assailant. You cannot go. Di Yun and Chi Feng turned around to look and saw a long sword aimed at Chi Feng's chest. It was Bu Yuan. Di Yun was enraged, but when he thought about it, he realized that it was his master who murdered his martial uncle. What more could he say? He only lowered his head and remained silent. Bu Yuan said coldly, The two of you return to your respective rooms. Once we catch Qi Changfa, you will all be sent to the officials. This whole ordeal was caused by me, and me alone. It does not concern my martial sister. If you want to kill someone, then kill me, said Di Yun. Bu Yuan pushed Di Yun hard on the back and shouted, Go! This is not the time for you to play hero. Di Yun could only hear the shouts of, Capture the assailant! From outside. His mind was boggled, and really did not know what to do at this point. He could only obey and head back to his room. Martial brother, what do we do? Cried Chi Feng. Di Yun sobbed, I don't know. I will confess to the crime, along with Master, he suggested. Father, where could he be? Di Yun remained in his room. It had been over 4 hours since the murder of Wan Jinshan, yet he was still sitting on his chair motionless over the events that had occurred. He stared blankly at the half-burnt candle on the table. At this point, the ones who chased after Qi Jiangfa returned. He heard voices outside talking. The assailant has already left the city. We couldn't catch him. Tomorrow we will head to Hunan. No matter what, we must catch him to avenge our master. I only fear that the assailant may perish in the realm. We may not be able to find him, even if we try. Even if we have to chase him to the edge of the earth and the corner of the ocean, we will still catch him and shred his corpse into 10,000 pieces. Tomorrow we will spread notices across the realm to invite the righteous men in the martial world to uphold justice. Together we will kill this ignoble criminal. Right, let us first kill the daughter of the assailant and that brat with the surname D as a sacrifice to our master. Well, that escalated super quick. No, let's wait until tomorrow, when the country magistrate comes to examine the corpse before we decide. The Wan disciples kept discussing their plans outside. Di Yun wanted to call his martial sister, and escape together, but thought, she is still a young girl, roaming in the realm. Who can take good care of her? Should I run away with her? No. This disaster was caused by me. If I did not try to play hero and fight with the Wan disciples, then Uncle Wan would not be suspicious of my master completing whatever Lian Cheng's swordplay. But my teacher is an honest person. Why would he steal the sword manual? The 3 stances were taught by the old beggar to me, but now my master has already committed a crime. Even if I reveal the truth now, nobody would believe me. And even if they do believe me, what difference does it make now? I have committed a huge crime, and it is all my fault. Tomorrow, I must reveal the truth to everyone in defense of my master. But Uncle Qi was indeed killed by him. How could this criminal record be erased? No, I can't escape now. I will remain here and take the blame for my master's actions. I will let them kill me instead. As he continued pondering the situation, faint footsteps were heard from the rooftop. Di Yun looked up and saw a dark shadow heading from west to east. He jumped onto the rooftop and yelled out quietly, Master! But upon closer inspection, the shadow was tall and skinny, nothing like the build of his master. Following behind this shadow was yet another mysterious figure who had a blade in his hand. I think he meant Uncle Wan. Yeah, not Uncle Chi. He thought to himself, are they looking for my master? Maybe master is nearby and hasn't gone far yet. He was thinking that when suddenly from the east a loud feminine scream was heard. Di-yun was startled. He grabbed his sword and got up. The first thought that came to his mind was, are they hurting my martial sister? Following that, another yell from a girl was heard, screaming, help me! However, this voice did not sound like Chi Feng's. So he felt a bit relieved, knowing that his martial sister was not in danger. He got out from the window, and from inside the room he again heard a girl screaming, help! Help! He quickly rushed over to the scene. From the east side of the house, he saw a bright light coming out from the window. He went near the window and saw a girl tied up on a bed. 2 people were molesting her face, while another was about to undress her. Di-yun did not recognize who the girl was, but saw that she was very scared and was trying to struggle herself free from the bed, crying loudly for help. Alright, Sal. Gonna go to bed? Alright, good night. See you next week. Although he was in quite a predicament himself, upon seeing such injustice, he could not simply walk away. At once he jumped in through the window, and with his sword he aimed at the chest of the man on the left. The man on the right threw a chair at Di-yun, while the one on the left drew his blade to slash him. Di-yun saw that both men's faces were covered by a black cloth, so all he could see were their eyes. He shouted, "You bold scoundrels! Leave your lives here!" 3 stabbing sounds were heard. Molesting her face? Let's not think about that too much. The 2 men did not reply, and instead each drew their blade. One said, "Brother Lu, pull back." Why would you say his name? Why would you wear your mask and wear all this disguise and just reveal the dude's name? The other one said, "That Wan Zhenshan is lucky today. We will get him next time." Both blades were held up, aiming to strike Di-yun's head. Di-yun saw the strikes approaching and quickly dodged. One of the men kicked the table up to the air. It flipped over and the candle died. Now the room was completely dark. Only the sounds of breathing could be heard. The 2 mysterious figures jumped out through the window. Some weapon sounds were heard, and several tiles were thrown. In the darkness, Di-yun could not see clearly. He knew that his lightness martial arts was not proficient, so he did not pursue. One of them had the surname Lu, likely an accomplice of Lu Tong that probably came to seek vengeance. They don't realize that Uncle Wan is already dead, he thought. Remember, Lu Tong is the bearded man, I think. Yeah, the guy who was splashing toilet water around. Suddenly, the girl on the bed shouted, "Ow! That hurts! I was stabbed in the chest by a small blade. Quickly, pull it out for me." Di-yun was shocked. "The thief stabbed you?" he asked. "Stabbed! Stabbed!" she cried. "Let me light a candle so I can see clearly." "Come over here, quickly." Di-yun heard her voice was quite frantic and panicky, so he walked closer and asked, "What is it?" Suddenly, the woman opened her arms and hugged him around the waist, then shouted loudly, "Help! Help!" "Wait a minute. What's going on?" "Oh no. He's gonna be framed." Di-yun was in even more shock now. He clearly saw that she was confined by ropes. Now, how could she release herself? He quickly stuck out his hand and wanted to release her grip, but the woman had a very strong grip on him, and he could not instantly pull himself away. Suddenly, a bright light was seen from the window. 2 torches were lit, and one could see the paintings inside the room. Several people spoke at once. "What's going on? What's going on?" The girl shouted. "A rapist! A rapist! He wants to rob me and rape me! Help!" Di-Yun urgently shouted, You, how could you do this?" He stuck his hand out to push her body away. The girl originally had hugged him hard around the waist, but now used her full force to repel him, shouting, "Don't touch me! Don't touch me!" Di-Yun instantly retreated when suddenly he felt a cold sensation at the back of his neck. A long sword was already aimed at him. He wanted to explain himself, but with a flash of light from the blade, he suddenly felt excruciating pain in his right palm. He screamed as his own longsword fell to the ground. He looked down and was so scared at what he saw that he almost fainted. The 5 fingers of his right hand were cleanly sliced off. Fresh blood splattered everywhere, like spring water. In utter confusion, he squinted and saw faintly that it was Wu Kang who held the bloody sword, standing on the side. Oh, damn. All 5 fingers. Did not see that coming. Did not. Bells for the fingers. You're shocked? I'm shocked. And it's his right hand too, right? He's probably right-handed, so that's his sword hand. Oh no. He got Jamie Lannistered. Okay. That's a good spot for a 5-minute break. All right. 5 minutes. I will be right back. And we are back. All right. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys like that? I like that. Second chapter, and our heroes' fingers have already been cut off. He needs an iron fist? True! That'd be cool. Yeah, put an iron fist on that shit. Turn a disadvantage into an advantage. All right. Oh wait, did the picture show that his hand was gone? Hold on. Yeah, he's holding his hand. Okay. Kinda. Okay. So 3 concussions, sliced off fingers, and an assault accusation. Yep. Thanks for summarizing, Bigfoot. All he could utter was, "You!" and kicked Wu Kan hard with his right leg. Suddenly, he was hit hard on his back by a fist, causing him to stagger in great pain. Now his whole body fell on top of the girl. The girl shouted again, "Help! Rapist!" He heard Lu Kun's voice, "Capture him!" Di-Yun had actually never seen any other youngster, not from the countryside, and only at this moment did he realize that he fell into a devious trap by a bunch of schemers. He quickly got up, turned his body over, and wanted to attack Lu Kun, when suddenly he saw a pale face looking at him. It was Chi Feng. Wait, how long did it take for them to think of this scheme? That was like really quick, I think, right? Di Yun was speechless, and from Chi Feng's face, he could make out that she was in great sadness, disbelief, and anger. He shouted, "Martial's sister!" Suddenly, Chi Feng's face turned bright red. She said, Why did you do this?" Oh no! She doesn't believe him. Di Yun felt his entire body overwhelmed with feelings of injustice. How could he explain himself now? Chi Feng began to cry and said, I should just die. She saw that Di Yun's right hand had all 5 fingers chopped off, so she felt great sympathy and pain for him. She clenched her teeth, tore off a piece of clothing from her garment, and bandaged his wound. At this point, her face turned snow white again. Di Yun was in so much pain that several times he almost passed out, but he forced himself to be conscious. He bit his lips so hard that they started to bleed. He could not utter a single word. Lu Kun said, "Little martial mother, this bastard dared to show you such disrespect. Let us kill him to help you relieve your anger." This woman was actually one of Wang Jinshan's concubines. She covered her face with both hands and started crying. He said many dubious and inappropriate things to me. He said that your teacher has passed away and told me to follow him. He said that Lady Chi's father was the murderer, and that will implicate him in the crime as well. And that will implicate him in the crime as well. He said that he has already collected a lot of gold and jewelry and asked me to live a new life with him. He said he would take care of me for the rest of my life. Okay, just laying it on a little too thick there, lady. Di Yun's mind was overwhelmed with a million thoughts at once. These are all lies. Lies, he mumbled. "Go! Search that bastard's room!" Zhou Qi exclaimed. Of course they're gonna find jewelry and gold. Everyone carried Di Yun over to his room, with Chi Feng following closely behind. Wan Gui said, "Everyone, do not be so disrespectful to Brother Di. The situation has not been cleared up yet. Do not falsely accuse him of injustice." "Shut up, dumbass." Zhou Qi angrily replied, "What is there that still isn't clear? That brat is a villain. I think that he is not such a person. Did you not hear just now? Did you not witness what just happened?" "I think he only had a few too many cups of wine and is under drug influence," Wan Gui retorted. Why do they hate him so much? Because he kind of showed them up when he was defending their master, while their master was being attacked or challenged by Lu Tong, the bearded man. Yeah. So he attacked the bearded man, but these guys, they just stood on the side, didn't do anything. So they felt jealous. And they felt that they lost face, so that's why they hate him. After all these events, Chi Feng had long lost any opinion of the situation. Upon hearing that Wan Gui was helping to prove Di Yun's innocence, she felt grateful deep inside, and lowly said to herself, "Brother Wan, my martial brother, is indeed not that kind of person." "Correct. I say he is only drunk. He would certainly not commit thievery," he said. During the conversation, the others had already carried Di Yun into his room. Shen Cheng began inspecting his room very carefully. He lowered himself and reached for a heavy bundle under the bed. The bundle rattled like gold clashing against each other. Di Yun felt a cold shiver and was confused as he saw Shen Cheng open the bundle. Inside, it was packed full of gold and silver plates, flagons, and wine cups. It was most certainly items from the Wan family's wine banquet. Bum, bum, bum. Chi Feng was shocked. She put out her hands and leaned against the table to support herself. Oh no. It still seems a bit extreme. Yeah, but these are basically kids. They're very young. So they would do that. Hey, and saving face is very important to them. Wan Gui said some comforting words. Sister Chi, do not panic. We will think of a solution. Shut up. He's coming on to her. Feng Tang removed the bedding and revealed yet another 2 hidden bundles. Shen Cheng and Feng Tang each opened one of the bundles. One was filled with silver ingots, while the other was filled with jewelry and a bunch of gold rings. At this point, Qi Feng could no longer contain herself as she watched. Under extreme anger and depression, she felt like she wanted to kill herself. Since they were young, she and Di Yun had grown up together, and she had long treated him as her future husband. Never would she have guessed that her lover, in desperate times, would rather retreat and live in isolation with another woman. Was this wicked witch of a woman really so attractive? Or perhaps he was afraid he would be associated with her father's crimes and decide to run off on his own. Lu Kun shouted, Little thief! Your loot is all here! What excuses do you have now? He gave Di Yun 2 hard slaps, one on each cheek. Di Yun had both his arms held and locked tight by Sun Jun and Wu Kan, so he had no way of retaliating. Both his cheeks immediately became swollen, and Lu Kun continued to punch Di Yun hard on his chest. Qi Feng shouted, Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Let us talk things over! Zhou Qi said, Kill this thief first, then we will report to the authorities. As he said this, he hit Di Yun hard with a fist. Under great pain, Di Yun opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Feng Tan drew his sword and said, Let us sever his left hand and see if he ever dares to commit such misdeeds ever again. Sun Jun acknowledged this and lifted Di Yun's arm. Feng Tan was about to strike when Qi Feng shouted, Ah! Urgently. Wan Gui said, Everyone, listen. Out of respect for me, let's just take him to the authorities and be done with it. Upon seeing Feng Tan slowly withdraw his sword, 2 streams of tears began to flow down Qi Feng's cheeks. She gave a glance at Wan Gui, her eyes full of gratitude. Oh no, she's gonna fall in love with this dude. It is definitely extreme. He also beat them in the fight, right? 1 versus 8. It was pretty good. So they probably feel really bad. Five, 10, 15, 20. The guard was counting the number of strokes from the beating stick given to Di Yun hard on the back of his legs. Di Yun was held back by 2 guards while he was being beaten. The bamboo board was getting lower and lower as he was being hit. Compared to the inner pain he felt in his heart, the external pain from being hit was nothing. Even the pain on his right palm was considerably painless. He thought to himself, Even Fang Mei thinks I'm a thief. Even she thinks I'm a thief. 25, 30, 35, 40. Now the board fell on the ground. Di Yun's skin was bruised and cracked. Fresh blood dripped on the board. Then he passed out. When Di Yun woke up, he found himself in one of the prison rooms. He felt dizzy and exhausted. Still, so he did not know where he was, nor did he know how much time had passed since the incident. Gradually, he felt the intense pain in his right palm, where his 5 fingers were sliced, as well as the pain on his back, legs, and hip from the beating earlier. He wanted to turn his body over so the painless parts would be on the ground, when suddenly he felt indescribably excruciating pain on both his shoulders, and he fainted again. He woke up again several times. The first sound he heard was the sound of his hoarse moaning, followed by intense pain coming from all parts of his body. But why was his shoulder in so much pain, more than anything else? Why was the pain so excruciatingly unbearable? He could only feel indescribable fear. After a long time, he still did not dare to lower his head to look at himself. He thought, perhaps both my shoulders were pierced by someone? Suddenly, he heard the sound of iron chains softly clashing. As he looked down, he could see that 2 iron chains tied both his shoulders. Under his fright, when he looked down to see, he was so afraid that it caused his whole body to shake. After a while, the pain on his shoulders became even worse. Then he realized that the 2 iron chains actually pierced through his scapula. What the fuck? Man, this got real fast. This got real fast. Along with the iron chains on his hands and the ones that tied his ankles, all these chains were locked together, piercing the scapula, as he once heard his master say, was one of the worst possible punishments given by the prefecture to only the most unrighteous and evil of men. No matter how high your martial arts are, once your scapula was pierced, you could not even unleash a fraction of your strength. At that instant, countless number of thoughts came to Di Yun at once. Why treat me this way? Do they really think I am a huge criminal? I am innocent. How can the magistrate not see through this? That's insane. Oh no, is the whole story going to be him being framed? Oh no, I hate it. I hate it. Another Xiao Feng. At the court of the magistrate, he once fully explained the entire incident, but the concubine of Wan Zhenshan, Tao Hong, insisted that he was the one who committed the misdeeds and nobody else. Furthermore, the 8 disciples of Wan Zhenshan, amongst others, also attested to her claims. Indeed, they did see him hug Tao Hong. Then they discovered the hidden loot from underneath the bed, and even more from beneath the bedding. Not even to mention the guards in the prefecture. In Qingzhou, the name of the Wan family held great status and prestige. Which foolish thief would have any ideas of looting them? Di Yun remembered that the magistrate had a handsome face full of sincerity. He believed that the magistrate was only convinced by these words for the moment and caused the suffering of an innocent man. Eventually, the case will come to a resolution. Yeah, good luck with that. But nevertheless, the 5 fingers on his right hand had been chopped off completely. How could he ever wield a sword again? He felt his heart overwhelmed with anger and his stomach filled with sadness. Without regards to the pain, he stood up and declared, "I'm innocent! I'm innocent!" Suddenly his leg became limp and he fell onto the ground. He tried to get up and stand straight, but fell over once again. He lay on the ground and continued to shout, "I'm innocent! I'm innocent!" Suddenly, a cold voice could be heard speaking. "Having your scapula pierced, your entire martial arts inert." The price to pay indeed wasn't small. Di Yun did not care who spoke, nor did he care what that person's intention was. He only continued to shout, I'm innocent! I'm innocent! A jailer walked by his cell and scolded. What are you yelling for? You better shut up. Di Yun shouted, I'm innocent! I'm innocent! I want to see the magistrate. He will correct this injustice. The jailer shouted, Are you going to shut up or not? Di Yun yelled even louder. The jailer laughed coldly and turned around to fetch for a wooden bucket. Then he turned his head and threw the bucket at Di Yun. Di Yun sensed an extremely foul smell. Oh no. What is up with this story and buckets of piss and shit? Di Yun sensed an extremely foul smell and could not dodge. His whole body instantly became wet. It was a bucket of urine. The pee spread over his body and caused excruciating pain to his already agonizing wounds. Oh no! It's seeping into his wounds, guys. His vision turned dark and he fainted again. Not a good day for Di Yun. At least urine is sterile. So I heard people say that. Is that true? Is that really true? Is urine sterile? Adult human urine is not sterile. The resident bacterial community, may contribute to urinary health and disease in undiscovered ways. Yeah, it contains like bacteria and stuff, doesn't it? It can't be sterile. Maybe it just has less bacteria than normal. Subconsciously, he had a high fever. Sometimes he shouted, Master! Master! While other times he shouted, Marshall's sister! Marshall's sister! Over a period of 3 days, the jailer brought him coarse rice daily, but he felt quite unconscious and could not help himself to even a single bite. On the 4th day, the fever in his body slowly began to disperse. As well, the numerous wounds on his body became numb and no longer caused as much suffering as it once did. He recalled that he was declaring his innocence, so opened his mouth widely again and shouted, I'm innocent! But at this time, his voice was soft and incredibly weak. I'm innocent. He barely had enough energy to utter any words. He sat for a while, and his eyes darted around the prison cell which he had previously disregarded. The prison was about a 10-foot square stone house. The walls were made with tiles of rough and large stones, and the floor was also made with large stones. In the corner was the wooden bucket from before. He could still smell the unpleasant scent emitted from it. He turned his head and saw that in the middle of the 4 corners of the room there was a pair of very fierce eyes staring at him. He trembled as he did not expect that in the room would be another person beside himself. He saw that this man had a face full of facial hair. The guy's just sitting quietly there. His hair was long and messy, and hung down from his head to his neck. The man's clothes were so ripped that it was as if it belonged to a savage beast in the wilderness. The man's hands were shackled by fetters, just as he was, as well as the iron chains which also pierced through the man's scapulas. Oh, what did this guy do to deserve that? The first emotion that came to Di Yun was that of joy, and he gave a faint smile, thinking, there is actually someone in this world equally as unfortunate as myself. But then he switched thoughts. This man looks quite ferocious. He is most likely a cold-blooded and ruthless villain who committed arson and murder. He got what he deserved, but I am innocent. Ironic. His thoughts were interrupted as tears began to drip from his eyes. Throughout all the pain and suffering he received since going to prison, he had always remained strong and would not shed even a single tear. But at this point, he could no longer hold back, for his tears streamed uncontrollably down his face. He decided to let it out and cried loudly. The bearded man sneered. Very nice performance. Well done. Are you an actor? Di-Yun ignored the man and continued to cry loudly. He heard the sound of footsteps and thought that the jailer was carrying another bucket of urine. Even if Di-Yun's character was more stubborn, he would not want to clash with the jailer. So he slowly retracted his tears and cried softly. The jailer looked at him and suddenly said, "Little thief, you have a visitor." Di-Yun felt both shocked and excited at once. He quickly said, Who is it?" The jailer did not reply, and instead produced a large chain of keys from his garment and opened the entrance iron door. He heard footsteps approaching. The jailer walked through a long corridor, and another sound of a door opening was heard, followed by the sound of a door closing and the sound of the rail as the footsteps of 3 people were heard approaching. Di-Yun was overjoyed and stood up instantly. His legs felt numb again, and he was about to fall over, but he found support from the stone walls. As soon as he moved, he felt immense pain from the chains piercing his scapula. But he held no regard for it amidst his excitement. He shouted, "Teacher! Martial's sister!" In the entire world, only his master and Martial's sister were close to him. Naturally, he thought the sound of the footsteps of the other 2 people must be his master and Martial's sister. As the 3 figures approached, he shouted, "Ma!" but could not utter the stir as he opened his mouth and could not swallow. 3 figures entered through the door. First was the jailer. The second was a handsome young man dressed in gorgeous attire, Wan Gui. And the third was Chi Feng. Chi Feng shouted, "Martial brother! Martial brother!" She threw her hands against the iron fence of the cell. Di-Yun walked 1 step forward and saw that she was dressed in new attire, different from the attire they had brought from the countryside. He did not walk another step, but he saw that her eyes were red. She cried, "Martial brother! Martial brother, you!" Di-Yun questioned, "Where is master? Did you find his honor?" Chi Feng shook her head. Her tears rustled to the floor in the process. Di-Yun continued, Are you well? Where are you living?" Chi Feng choked while she spoke. "I have nowhere to go. I am temporarily living in the Wan residence." Di-Yun was alarmed. "That is a harmful place. You definitely cannot stay there. Quickly, move out." Chi Feng lowered her head and said softly, I have no money. These past few days, every day at the prefecture, Wan Gui spent money to rescue you." Di-Yun grew even more frustrated and yelled, "I did not commit any crimes. Why would I need him to spend money for me? How will we repay him in the future? Once the magistrate has fully examined the case over and realized my innocence, he will set me free." Chi Feng began to cry again. She said bitterly, Why did you do such things? Why did you leave me?" Di-Yun became startled, but now he realized what was going on. At this point, his martial sister believed the words of the concubine Tao Hong. She believed that he was the one who stole the gold and jewelry. In his entire life, he gave Qi Feng his utmost respect and love, and would always submit to her, telling her everything that she wanted to know, discussing anything that she wanted. Little did he realize that when tragedy befell, she was no different from any other person. They all believed that he wanted to rape the girl and steal the money. They all believed that he would actually commit such atrocious acts. At this moment, the emotional pain he felt caused over 100 times more suffering and hurt than his physical wounds. He wanted to speak. He had a million things he wanted to explain to Qi Feng, but his throat suddenly became plugged, and he could not even utter a single word. He used all his strength and his ears flushed red, but his throat and tongue would not move, and he could not emit any noise. Qi Feng saw the terrifying expression on his face and became afraid. She turned her head and would not look at him. Di Yun used all his strength, but still he could not utter a single word. When he suddenly saw that Qi Feng had turned her head, not facing him, he could not help but feel great emotional suffering. He thought, "She hates me now. She hates me for leaving her for another woman. Hates me for stealing gold and jewelry. Hates me for wanting to run off on my own upon trouble. Marshall's sister, if you don't believe me, then why come and see me?" He no longer dared to look at Qi Feng, and slowly turned his body facing the wall. Qi Feng turned her head and said, "Marshall, brother, what happened in the past cannot be changed. We can only hope we can soon receive notice of father's whereabouts. Brother Wan will come up with a way to get you out of here." Di Yun thought, "I don't need his help." He also wanted to say, "Don't live with him," but the more he used his strength, the more his muscles tightened up, and he could not speak. His body stopped shaking, and the iron chains made clashing sounds. The jailer rushed and said, "Time's up. This is a prison for those under death row, designed to punish the greatest of criminals." Oh, crap. "You guys aren't supposed to be here to begin with. If the uppers find out about this, we will be in deep trouble. Miss, this man does not have any chance to get out of here, and he's also handicapped now. You should forget about him and marry a wealthy and handsome gentleman." As he said this, he glanced over at Wan Gui and gave a dirty snicker. Maybe this is the bright side. Qi Feng begged, "Sir, I have some things I wish to speak with my martial brother." She extended her hands to the iron fence and pulled on Di Yun's sleeves. She spoke softly. "Martial brother, don't worry. I will most certainly beseech Brother Wan to rescue you. Then we will look for my father together." She placed a bamboo basket inside the cell and said, "Here's some bacon, fish, and fried eggs there, as well as 2 taels of silver. Don't worry, Marshall, brother. I will visit you again tomorrow." Did she slip something in there? Maybe. Hopefully. The jailer became annoyed and said, "Lady, if you don't leave now, I won't be nice anymore." Wan Gui added, "Brother Di, don't worry. Your problems are my problems. Younger brother will try his best to request the magistrate to set your punishment as low as possible." The jailer continued to rush the two of them. Qi Feng could do nothing but take her leave slowly. With each step, she turned her head to look back at Di Yun, but saw that his body was still as a stone, his head still facing the stone wall opposite of her. All Di Yun saw was the various bumps on the stone wall. He really wanted to turn his head and see Qi Feng's figure from behind, as well as shout, "Marshall's sister!" but he could not speak out. Even his neck was straight and stiff. He heard the footsteps of 3 people walking away, the sound slowly getting fainter. He heard the door unlock and open, followed by the sound of the door closing. Then he heard the footsteps of the jailer returning. and thought to himself, "She said she would come and see me again tomorrow. Alas, I will have to wait a full day before I can see her again." He extended his hands to reach for the food left behind, when suddenly another long and hairy hand extended over and grabbed the bamboo basket. It was the ferocious criminal from earlier. Di-Yun could only watch as the man started eating the bacon in the basket. "What the fuck?" Di-Yun shouted, "That's mine!" Suddenly he could speak, and thought it was very awkward. He walked forward a step to try and take the basket back, but the prisoner shoved him back with his hands, and Di-Yun could not keep his balance. Moved back a few steps, and with a loud bang, he hit his head hard on the stone wall. At that point, he understood the true meaning of the phrase, "pierced scapula, useless person." The second day, Qifeng did not come to visit him, nor the third, nor the fourth. Day after day, Di-Yun anxiously awaited, and ended each day in disappointment. By the 10th day, he was nearly driven insane by frustration. He shouted and screamed, banged his head on the wall, but Qifeng still did not come. All that came out of his howling was a bucket of urine from the jailer and a harsh beating from the ferocious prisoner. Prisoner's beating him too. Half a month passed, and he finally became a bit more settled. In fact, he did not even speak anymore. One night, 4 jailers suddenly entered the prison, each wielding a saber, and brought the ferocious prisoner out. Di-Yun thought, "Are they taking him out to be executed? That would probably be a relief for him, for he no longer has to suffer in here, nor do I have to suffer his beatings any longer." He was in a deep sleep when suddenly he heard the sounds of iron chains scratching against the floor. The 4 jailers brought the prisoner back to his cell. Di-Yun glanced over at the prisoner and saw that his entire body was covered in blood, evidently given a harsh beating by the jailers. I can't say that word, guys. Jailers. Jailers? Jailers. Jailers. The prisoner fell on the ground and went unconscious. Di-Yun waited for the 4 jailers to leave. From the moonlight shining through the prison cell, he could see the prisoner's face, arm, and legs were all full of bloody bruises as a result of being whipped. Although Di-Yun was always being beaten by this man, when he saw this man's current state, he could not help but feel a bit of sympathy. He fed him some water from a bowl he had. It's pronounced the same. No, I just can't say the word jailer. The normal word. The prisoner slowly awoke. When he opened his eyes and saw Di-Yun, he immediately lifted his iron chain and smacked him hard on the head. Why? Di-Yun had no energy, but he reacted to the situation quickly and made a clever dodge. However, he did not predict that the prisoner's arms did not extend fully, and with the pung sound, he changed directions and hit him hard on the waist. Di-Yun could not keep his balance and fell forward to the right. Since his hands and feet were both connected to the chain that pierced his scapula, he felt agonizing pain. He was shocked and angry at the same time. He could not resist yelling, "You're insane!" The prisoner laughed. "Your psychological tricks will not work on me. You should have given up on any ideas a long time ago." Di-Yun felt as if the ribs on his waist were about to crack. He was in so much pain that he could barely speak. He said, "You lunatic! You can barely protect yourself. Why would I have any ideas about deceiving you?" The prisoner kicked forward with his left leg and hit Di-Yun's spine. Then with his right leg kicked him hard several times. "I see that you are just a young thief and have not committed too many crimes. Only that you are under orders from someone else. Otherwise, I would kick you to death without regret." Di-yun grew so furious that he forgot the pain in his body, thinking that he was already unfortunate for being falsely accused for crimes he did not commit. Now, even worse, he was stuck in the same prison cell with an unreasonable lunatic. It was indeed bad luck upon bad luck. On the full moon of the second month, the prisoner was once again brought out by 4 jailers, each wielding sabers. He was beaten once again, and returned to his cell. This time Di-yun conditioned himself, and no matter how much pity and sympathy he felt for the man, he dared not approach. But even then it did not matter, for the prisoner, even before catching his breath and recovering from his injuries, proceeded to beat him, shouting, "You scoundrel! Even if you spied for another 10 years, I will still not be fooled by you! People beating your ancestors beat your descendants. To think that you were born into this world, your ancestors must have sinned greatly." Di-yun was tortured by the prisoner. No matter what, he felt it was all Di-yun's fault, punching and kicking. The prisoner screamed and cursed at Di-yun for more than half a day. From then on, every time it came near the full moon of the month, Di-yun feared for the worst, for he knew that he would soon inevitably be beaten. Indeed, on the 15th of every month, the prisoner was escorted out by 4 jailers and tortured, only to briefly return the beating on Di-yun. Thanks to Di-yun's youthful body and build, although he was severely beaten once a month, he did not collapse. He began to wonder, "My scapula has been pierced by the iron chain, and there is no strength in my body. Yet, how come this lunatic, who also has his scapula pierced, can muster up so much strength to torture me?" Sometimes Di-yun almost collected enough courage to ask him, but he would always be beaten. As a result, he no longer said a single word to him. It went on like this for several more months. Winter passed and spring came. Having been imprisoned for over a year, Di-yun began to grow accustomed to prison life. The pain and anger in his heart and body had become numb. For trying to avoid the brawl of the prisoner, he did not dare to even look at him. As long as he didn't talk to him or look at him, except for the nights of the full moon, the lunatic would not beat him. Early one morning, before Di-yun was awake, he heard the soft chirpings of swallows outside the prison, which suddenly made him recall the past when he and Chi-feng would used to watch the songbirds fly to their nest. His heart became sour, and it went away along with the birds. He could only watch through the window, several dozen feet high, as a pair of birds flew away together. He had nothing to do, day and night, and always had thoughts about escaping through the balcony window, trying to figure out who lives there. However, the window was shut tightly, and on top of the window there would always be a basket of fresh flowers. At this time of the day, the spring sun shone through the window, and on the sill was placed a basin of jasmines. He's gonna come out with a teardrop tattoo? Yeah. As long as this prisoner doesn't molest his face. His mind was boggled with many thoughts when suddenly he heard the lunatic let out a deep sigh. For the past year, the lunatic either gave crazy laughs or scolded people. He had never sighed before. A hint of sadness and gentleness could be heard through his sighing. Di-yun could not resist and turned his head over. All he saw was the lunatic sitting in the corner with the hint of a smile from the corner of his mouth. His eyes focused on the basin of jasmines on top of the windowsill. Di-yun felt that the man was not putting forth his true emotions, and hence turned around and dared not to look back at him. Ever since then, Di-yun would check the expression of the lunatic every day. He saw that the lunatic would always stare gently at the basin of fresh flowers on the windowsill, from the jasmine flowers and roses of spring to the lilacs and impatience of the summer. For over half a year, the two of them did not speak more than a sum of 10 words. The beatings on the days of the full moon also became periodic. Di-Yun realized that as long as he did not utter a single word, the lunatic's temper would be much less severe, and consequently the strength of his punches and kicks were less damaging. He thought, "In another few years, I probably won't even remember how to speak anymore." However, the madness of the lunatic had an advantage, too, for it even scared the jailer from talking in the cell. Sometimes the lunatic would even scold the jailer, and consequently he would not receive food for the day, so he would instead steal Di-Yun's food. Other times, neither of them would receive food, and the lunatic would stay hungry for days and not care. One year, on the 15th day of the 11th month, after the lunatic was given a harsh beating as usual, he suddenly caught a fever, and in his unconsciousness uttered some nonsensical words. Di-Yun could make out that he would often say these few words, either double flower or wounded heart. Di-Yun did not pay much attention at first, but come afternoon, he heard him constantly shout, "Water! Water! Give me water to drink!" Di-Yun could not resist and decided to pour some water from his bowl to help the prisoner. He got close to him, but he was completely alert in case the lunatic would strike with both hands. Luckily, this time he drank the water without getting angry, and promptly fell asleep. Later that night, 4 jailers suddenly appeared and beat up the lunatic again. When he returned this time, his groaning was weak and faint. One of the jailers said sternly, "If he insists on not speaking, we will beat him again tomorrow." Another jailer said, "Since he is unconscious, we should continue to put pressure on him. If he insists on not speaking, then he will soon end up in hell. That can't be good." Di-Yun had been living with the lunatic for quite some time and had watched him endure the worst of pain and suffering. He really did not wish for him to die at the hands of the jailer. On the 17th, Di-Yun fed him water 4 or 5 times. In the last time, the lunatic nodded his head to express gratitude. Since entering prison, this was the first time that Di-Yun saw the lunatic express any form of good feelings. And at that moment, Di-Yun felt warmth in his heart, filled with indescribable joy. That day, after the second watch, a watch is one of 12 two-hour periods in a day. The first watch starts from 9 to 11. Second watch is from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Oh no. That day, after the second watch, the 4 jailers came as expected and opened the cell door. Di-Yun thought that if the lunatic were to be beaten again in such a short interval, he would most likely die. He gathered his courage and jumped in front of the cell door, shouting, "Don't come in!" And that's where we stop. How's that, guys? How do you like the story? Not bad so far. He's not doing well. Not doing well. Our man, our Di-Yun. When will it end? When will it end? He felt a lot of pain. Yeah. I didn't expect his fingers to be chopped off. Also did not expect the scapula chains thing. So far, so good. Yeah. Yeah. And that Wan Gui guy, I want to kill him. I want to kill that little dick. It'll be interesting to see how things turn around. I just know the entire story would be him framed. Everyone would think that he did what he did, or he did what they said he did. I hate it. All right. Well, good. Story is going good so far. I'm excited to see what happens next. Okay, wait. I got some sake. I'll be right back. Then we can go. Be right back. Ooh, look. A new bottle. Brand new. Just opened. All right. Guys, cheers. Not bad. Cheers. It's so much good revenge and ill fortune. Yep. All right. Well, hope you guys like the story. Hope you join me next time. And thanks for joining. I love you. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye.